We're waiting on
Oh, I just lost your.
Civil or anybody got in yet?
I haven't seen any of them. I know John's picking up kids, and I thought Sybil was coming in late, but oh well.
Yeah, she said she's late. Okay. So waiting on Lance to get back.
I have a weird question for you.
Okay.
So I was born in Panama, and my parents are both from Iowa. They recorded my birth certificate in the county recorder, but I still, like, if I get my birth certificate ordered, I have to get it from the Charleston Passport Center in Virginia. So, but my original was still recorded, and it's got a book and a page. How would you handle that?
Is Panama, is that a United States territory?
Yeah, it was. Oh boy, hang on. Yeah, it was a United States territory from up until 79, I believe.
What year were you born?
71.
Okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
My dad was in the Army, so.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
You remember, we're going back to the Declaration of Human Rights, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm gonna be honest. None of that shit applies to you.
Right.
What they're talking about. What they're talking about is these corporations, these persons. That's your person. He could be a citizen of wherever, but you have the diplomatic power to protect him.
Okay.
So it doesn't. You have human rights. Well, the rights are inherent with you being a human being.
Okay. Okay, that's easy.
And so you just have to understand how to work. In most cases, no one really understands how to work their persons. They don't know how to work their trust.
Right.
Do you guys have this page? Or am I screen sharing yet?
Yeah. Don't see the screen sharing part.
You don't see my screen?
I see your face. I see Lance's box.
Yeah, it's just your picture.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay. Now we're in the law here. Okay. Understand what you're saying here. Whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, or imprisons, or offers violence to a foreign official guest, or internationally protected person. Remember the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that's international law. Who protects you? And you being a human being, you could exempt the liability for your person. So guess what you'll become? An internationally protected person. So even if they charge a person, and if you exempt the liability, he in that effect becomes an internationally protected person. Your private entity on the private side, he's a foreign official because he's identified as one of the people. He's the ambassador representing you on the private side, and then your person, he represents you on the public side if you grant him your protection. So, internationally protected person. Now, watch how they say this: whoever strikes, wounds, or imprisons, or offer violence to a foreign official, an official guest. If I come to Ohio, well, I won't use Ohio because I was actually born there. But Jeff, if you come in Ohio, if they don't recognize you as an official of the state of Ohio, but you'll still be considered a foreign guest there that reside there, or internationally protected person, or make any other violent attack upon his person, liberty of such person. See, they're attacking persons now. Or if likely to endanger his person, his liberty, or make a violent attack upon his official premises, private accommodation, or means of transport, or attempt to commit any of the foregoing shall be fined under this title for not more than, what is it, 3 years or both. Whoever in the commission of any of such acts use deadly or dangerous weapons or inflicts bodily injury shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 10 years or both. A problem with the American people is they fail to remember that we're foreign to the United States. And then when you realize how they use documentation, well, your person on the private side is the foreign official, and then your person or your counsel, if you grant him your exemption, your privilege or immunity, then he has international protection. This is why, and this is a key factor, how if you look at foreign countries that do business in America, what they actually do is they put their flag like on their vehicle, they put their flag on their house, they put their on their official premises, indicating which country that represents their interests. And as such, they have protection under the flag of their country. In America, we have the American flag, which actually provides a cloak of protection against the government. And what most people don't realize is the use of that flag indicates what nation or government that you're going to implement against governmental entities. Understand the science behind that. The average person doesn't understand that the flag does not. They don't understand that the flag represents what sovereignty that they're going to use against governmental entities, which will protect them. So there's law enforcement officers. Well, let me take that back. There's some people that don't understand the science behind this, because eventually I'll show you guys there's laws in regards to regulation of your flag. And now when you have a flag, for an example, what you're identifying, this is the flag that I'm using, and these are the laws that I'm going to apply against governmental entities. And in this situation, if you identify yourself as a foreign official, meaning you're a foreign official in America, you're a foreign official to the United States. Now, if they attempt, somebody who's claiming to be a part of the United States or an official of the United States, whoever strikes, wounds, or imprisons, or offer violence to a foreign official, meaning you in your private capacity, or a internationally protected person, your person, if he's exempt with you putting your exemption there, now they're subject to go to jail. They're subject to go to prison. For, what does it say? Shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 3 years or both. So how do you make sure you have protection from that? If you're to go down here to F, and they're going to make a point clear here, how you get your protection to ensure your protection. It says, in the course of the enforcement of subsection A, which is what we just read, the protection from imprisonment, protection against your life. It says, in the course of the enforcement of subsection A and any other section prohibiting the conspiracy or attempt to violate subsection A, like tricking you into prison, the Attorney General may request assistance from any federal, state, or local law agency, including the Army, Navy, Air Force. So they're saying including the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Now, what does it say right here? It says any statute, rule, or regulation to the contrary, notwithstanding. So now there's some clauses here, right? Well, we're going to bypass some clauses so we can see how they say that. So this makes it clear on how this works. In the course of the enforcement of subsection A and any other section prohibiting the conspiracy or attempt to violate subsection 8, go to the last clause here. Any statute, rule, or regulation to the contrary, notwithstanding. So what if they say? Well, what if they say? Lance, you violated 922G, felon in possession of a firearm, which subsequently is a statute. But then you assert the fact that you're a foreign official. and that your person is an internationally protected person. Though that you had the gun, it's true you had John, the corporate fiction, had a gun. But if you assert right here, well, I'm asserting my protection from imprisonment, my person's protection from imprisonment, and any statute, rule, or regulation to the contrary, talking about locking him up, notwithstanding, even if he committed the offense, because the statute has a statutory penalty, but that goes against the foreign official or official guest, or excuse me, the foreign official and internationally protected person, his protection from imprisonment. So even if he committed it, if you assert this section right here, no matter what statute they hit him with, it's notwithstanding, based upon the fact that there's a protection here. Does everyone understand that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like this. This is great.
See, because please understand, this shit's kind of cool, right? You have a person who is a commercial agent, and he could be fucked with. They could fuck with your person, but guess who's supposed to know this? You're one of the people. We set this game up. Do you understand that? We set the game up. Hold on a second. Watch this. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go back to the Constitution, because the Constitution is a cool game. I mean, the game called the government is a cool game, right? So we gave Congress the power to do a lot of stuff, right? But look what the enumeration of power says. This right here. To make what? Somebody read this one. One, to make. It starts with to make. Could somebody read that?
Okay. Well, it zoomed all the way in for me.
Okay. To make
rules for.
Yep. Continue reading that one. That's the section that I'm trying to get. That's the only one this is the clause that I'm trying to get you to read.
To make rules for the government and regulation
of the land and naval forces.
Okay, I can see it now.
So what we've actually done is, guess what? We the people, we're all gonna play this fucking game. We're all gonna play this game. We all have an active part in this game, and we're all complete members of this game, and we're gonna play rules of this game. But guess what Congress is gonna do? They're gonna sit back, and you know what we're gonna do? In this Constitution, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna authorize Congress to make rules for the government. So now we all could take part in this thing called the government. But Congress is going to lay out the rules for this government, the Republican form of government. So now once we've accepted the fact that Congress is going to make rules for the government, now we could really play. And they're setting out these rules in here. But we tend to forget that we're foreign to the United States in our respective state. So now in this section here, they're telling, okay, when you realize, wait a second, why the fuck am I following the rules of the United States when I live in Colorado and we love our weed? Okay, if I'm in Las Vegas and I like to buy pussy, you get what I'm saying? If I like to buy pussy, we the people of the state of Nevada and the city of Las Vegas, we like the pussy to be sold. There's nothing that the United States could do in this foreign jurisdiction, because the people in that locality have said, this is what we want. We're not affecting you guys in any way whatsoever. We're our own political organization. And respectively, individually, if I'm not affecting you, John, or Jeff, or if I'm not affecting you, Lance, you don't have no say-so in what I do, as long as I do it privately. Does that make sense? What you do privately, what an individual does privately that doesn't affect somebody publicly is none of your business.
Right. As long as you don't affect somebody else's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of their own happiness.
Correct. Pursuit of happiness is another word for property. Don't affect somebody's life, liberty, or property, or pursuit of happiness, then everything is all good. Does that make sense? That perfect sense. Watch this. Okay, now we're going to go. Now that's one section that they talked about. So we're going. There's one section in here which is going to really break this shit down. Well, excuse my language, but they're going to break it down. Hold on a second. And then they talk about. They said 8. There was 878. Threat, extortion against a foreign official, official guest, or internationally protected person. This is all the bullshit that the United States secretly does. They secretly do this openly to people. But what happens is, they didn't say, what does it say? Whoever knowingly or willingly threatens to violate subsection 112, 116, or 1201 shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both, except that imprisonment for a threat assault shall not exceed 3 years or more. But in this section, they're talking about dealing with who? The foreign official. The foreign official, official guest, and internationally protected person. It doesn't, and I want you to note when they're talking about this, when they say a foreign official, official guest, then it says internationally protected person. It doesn't say or any person, it says internationally protected person. Thus, it means that there's persons that they're going to attack. But if he doesn't have that international exemption or that international, that human right, that human protection, they can attack that person. Okay, whoever in connection with violating subsection A or actually violates subsection 112, 1116, or 1201 may or makes, or what is it, excruciating demand shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. See, here you have rights. Here you have rights to sit up here and play this game with these people, right? But you never use them because guess what? You fail to realize that you're foreign to the United States, and these are your protections. Now, they're going to give you some game right here. It said for the purpose of this section, a foreign official, internationally protected person, or national of the United States. Okay, I'm gonna give you the concept of national of the United States. Okay, because they're going to add national of the United States. If you're in the United States, let's say that we're going to say Lance, if you live in the United States, right? They're going to count you into the registry of the United States. A national is another word. It's in some ways it's synonymous with a citizen, but a national is different than a citizen. For a second, we'll go here so you can see what a national is. A member of a nation. A member of a nation. Let's say that you're an American, right? And then when we're playing this game in the United States, you become a member. You remember what is the United States comprised of? The people in the several states. Thus, they become the people of the United States. Therefore, the United States, the people of the United States, becomes a part of a nation. And as such, as a national, you become a part. If you're in the United States, you become a part of a national of the United States in your private capacity. It's not talking about a citizen. It becomes a member of a nation. United States of America, that becomes a part of a nation. A person on permanent allegiance to or under the protection of a state. So that's what a national is. So understand it, in this particular situation, a national. So in that section that we just went off, this national has protection. Okay. For the purpose of this section, a foreign official, an international protected person, and national of the United States, and official guests shall have the same meaning as provided in 1116A of this title. I'm not going to get off so much into the will I get in if the victim of it, I'm not going to get off in this last part here because I want to get off more into, I'm going to get off in the, because they talk about 9. What is it? Is it 9-7? Let it go. What was that section that said 9? Just a second. I'm gonna go back here just because I didn't know. I forgot which section it was. Because this section that I'm reading right now is not the clincher, but we'll get. Just a second. I'll pull this up on I'm pulling up on my phone because my phone has it. Okay, it's 970. Whoever will, this is 970 of a foreign government. Whoever willfully injures, damages, or destroys, or attempt to injure, damage, or destroy any property, real or personal, located within the United States and belonging to or utilized or occupied by any foreign government or international organization or excuse me, by a foreign occupied by a foreign government like your state or international organization that goes in between states and countries or organization by a foreign official guest shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. So understand it. So now you're under this section, your property is protected under this section. So the key thing is now we're going to start finding the definition of this stuff in this right here. Now, in this section, they're talking about manslaughter, and these sections are this section before this. Wait a second. Now, this is talking about killing, manslaughter, foreign official. But what the key thing in this section is talking about definitions. And the average person, when they read this stuff, they're not actually paying attention to how they word this, and there's changing languages in here, and it for the most part it may seem like they're talking about the same thing, but there's two different capacities, like A and B, and when you talk about A and B, they're like in what is it? A and you have in 3A, then you have 3B, then you have 4A and 4B, then you have 5. They're not talking about 5. Now we're going to look at different areas in which we're talking about our persons. If we're in our state, in a foreign state, the purpose of our persons in these particular states, it says a foreign government means the government of a foreign country, irrespective of recognition by the United States. And that means regardless of, even if it's within the geographical jurisdiction of the United States, it's still considered a foreign country. Let's see, we're going to this definition. Go here, definition. So we've got The first definition indicates that a foreign country, a country or political state, each state having political jurisdiction in its territorial area. Therefore, Ohio is a foreign country to Minnesota. Okay, and when they say political, that means they have political, meaning policies in that particular state. Ohio has different policies than Minnesota. Colorado has different policies than Ohio. Each territory has a different policy. Then it goes on to say the territory of such a country or state. So when we look at the territory, I live in Minnesota, but the political state in Minnesota is state of Minnesota based upon the policies that the Minnesotans have established for that organization. The territory is Minnesota. So is the territory in Minnesota different than that of Ohio? Yes. So therefore it's considered a foreign country because it has a different political state. Every state is foreign to each other. So what does it say? It says a foreign government means a government of a foreign state, irrespective of recognition by the United States. Right? I'm gonna give you. I don't know the extent of some of the knowledge that you guys have acquired over your years or whatnot, but if you were to go into a courtroom, they have two flags there. They have the commercial flag of the United States, and they have the commercial flag of your particular state. So now they're flying two different jurisdictions and laws in that courtroom, and they're really implementing the laws of the United States against the American people because it's by constitutional grant by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution says, hold on a second, we'll go back here. Before there used to be the citizen of the state citizen. Now all of a sudden the Constitution created this off-breed when they freed the slaves. When they freed the slaves, they created a different creature with different entitlements. You remember the United States, I'll say this, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government. And I could break the science down. The United States has the least power in your states, right? So what they created is a citizen that belongs to the United States who has the least power in your state. So now here you have the citizen of a state with capital C, and the citizen of the state. Then you have the citizen in the several states, right, with the capital C, because the states have the power over the United States because the United States is obligated to the states and the people in those states, right? So then once they freed the slaves and they want to get back into the slave trade, because you remember, they never got rid of slavery. They just stole the slaves from the poor white trash. I'm being honest with you. An undereducated white person who owned a slave, guess what they did? They kind of they quit making certificates of slavery. And since he was under the poor white trash, he was undereducated as well. So guess what they did? Said, we the people that engage in slavery, we're gonna safeguard this shit. But the poor white trash, they just can't own their slaves because they're not bright enough to secure their interests. So as they freed the slave, they created a different class of citizen. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. Now, were you born in the United States? No. You were born in Ohio. No, you were born in Panama. And then I was born in Ohio, which are both foreign states to the United States, so we weren't born there. But understanding the concept of naturalization and how the whole concept of naturalization works is if you go to Wisconsin right now, or if you go to Indiana, we'll say if Jeff goes to Indiana right now and he gets a speeding ticket, they pull Jeff over, and then officers they're going to ask Jeff for his driver's license or his identification, or his driver's license rather. And on his driver's license, it indicates that Jeff is a citizen of the state of Ohio. So since he's a citizen of the state of Ohio, which indicates that he's subject to the jurisdiction of the state of Ohio, right? Since he's subject to the jurisdiction of the state of Ohio, and since he's got a speeding ticket, that officer who's an official of the state of Indiana, what he's going to do, he's going to naturalize Jeff as a citizen of the state of Indiana, simply by incorporating his name into the paperwork of the state of Indiana, creates a citizenship and naturalizes him in the state of Indiana by naturalization. The whole process of incorporating a person into the paperwork, because the police officer is an official of the state of Indiana. So all persons born or naturalized in the United States. So now if the United States is claiming jurisdiction, and if they incorporate your person into a United States, if they incorporate your person into a United States indictment, ticket, or voting registry or anything of this nature, by naturalization, he becomes a citizen of the United States, simply by incorporation, right? Now, what it says is all persons born or naturalized in the United States. Now, you see this comma here, comma, here's a catch, here's a clause, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, comma, catch, clause. So now here's a catch. There's going to be persons born or naturalized in the United States. If the people give them their exemption, then they don't have to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof, because now they're dealing with persons. Now, I want you guys to understand that there's persons that are existing that are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But if they are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, now guess what they created? They created, and they said that they are citizens of the United States. Now, before you had a state citizen and a citizen in the several states, but now they created this different lowercase citizen, a citizen of the United States, and the state wherein they reside. Obviously, if your person is on a driver's license and he's going through Indiana, now he's residing there maybe temporarily because you were there, and you pull out that identification, and the officer was able to identify that person there, right? So in this class of person, wherein they reside, and it says, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege or immunity of the citizen of the United States. Now, I'm trying to figure out where in law does the citizen of the United States have privileges and immunities. I've looked in the law. There's nowhere they mention nothing about the privileges and immunities of the citizen of the United States. Because the citizen of the United States is a separate creature than that of the state citizens. And when you're in your respective jurisdiction, then you realize that you have the privileges and immunities there. Okay, and it says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, this person doesn't have the same rights, this incorporated citizen of the United States. It doesn't have the rights of the privileges and immunity clause of Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution. It has the rights that the United States granted to them. It has the rights of that the state granted to them. So now when you go in your state and everybody's so gun-ho about getting a driver's license, and what do they say about the driver's license? They said that the driver's license is a privilege. So now if the state is the one granting the privilege, the state could also take away the privilege. But we, the people, we do not need a license because we are the one who grants the state the license to lay and collect taxes and create all of these different provisions where they could build these entities. Nor shall any state deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So now, there was once upon a time, when they freed these slaves, when they freed this group of slaves, and then all of a sudden, well, we have to find a way to get these Negroes back into our plantation. So then all of a sudden, here you have Mary Beth walking down the street. Then guess what they created? You can't look at a white woman law. See, these laws that they're making, they in that particular jurisdiction, they created an ordinance that said, well, a Negro can't look at a white woman in the face. Mary Beth certified that Negro looked at her in the face. All she did, she certified that he looked at her in the face. And guess what they're able to do? Put him back in the state of slavery. Because who gave him his rights and freedoms? The United States. And now he became a citizen of the United States, and his rights were subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So the state, and since there's no guarantee for the rights of a citizen of the United States, the state did not deprive him of anything, because the state created a law, and there's no rights for the citizen of the United States. It says, nor shall any state deprive a person of the life, liberty, and property without due process of law. If Mary Beth said that he looked at her, she certified it, put it on a document, which created a crime, and he doesn't have any rights. So therefore, there was no problem with them locking that person up. So nowadays, since even white people or people that don't pay no attention to how this works, they will be more than glad to say that they're citizens of the United States, technically with no rights, since they've never applied their exemption, their privilege, or their immunity as being using it as in the statehood. Therefore, now those same laws like jaywalking, I'm sure if Lance or Jeff, either you guys go jaywalking and you don't exercise your rights as one of the people in your state and use your exemption, I'm sure they will get you with jaywalking as well. And it's not discriminative of color now, because guess what? If you want to be a citizen of the United States and not exercise your rights, then guess what? The system will be more than happy to pop you off, to do you just as wrong as they're doing everybody else. And it says right here, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. But guess what? There's no real laws or protection for the citizen of the United States, especially when you have when they're putting a trick down right here, and the Ninth Amendment and the 10th Amendment say something like this: the enumeration of power, the enumeration in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Okay, watch this. It says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights, like we gave Congress the right to lay and collect taxes, to make rules for the government, but we never gave them the right to infringe upon the people's rights. It's not in this Constitution, because it says the enumeration in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So even though we gave them the power to lay and collect taxes, the right is inherent with the people. Watch this, and it says, no, the power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, here's the catch on how they work it. And as I explain this to people get it, but at the same time, I really want you to get it, right? Okay, let's say Jeff, for an example. They're going to use Jeff as an example, right? Now, all of a sudden, Jeff is somebody who they want to target, right? Well, Jeff, you have a person, your person's name is Jeff, and all of a sudden it was like, wait, he's a citizen of the United States. But Jeff, you, the human being, you have a right to bear arms. You, the human being, you have a right to bear arms. Then Jeff, as a citizen of the United States, he doesn't have any rights, because guess what? The rights are inherent to the people. So all of a sudden, Jeff, the citizen of the United States, being a part of the United States, who does not have any rights at all. So guess what these officials of the United States do? They bring a charge against Jeff, the citizen of the United States. They're like, look, boy, you don't have a right to have a gun. They get you with, you're a felon in possession of a firearm. They go get you with, you don't have a right to have a gun. So guess what they do? They bring the instrument that identifies the citizen of the United States. They bring the instrument that identifies the citizen of the United States, which means he's a part of the United States who doesn't have the rights that's reserved by the Constitution, and they bring it to you and they say, hey, Jeff, look what this dude did. And technically, you have the rights to enforce your rights. What do you want us to do with him? What do you want us to do with him? And subsequently, guess what you say? Lock him up. Because guess whose rights that citizen of the United States is violating? He's violating your rights. I'll try to make it, I'll give you another example of it. Let's say, Jeff, you owned, I might need you to speak on this one. Jeff, let's say that you own McDonald's. You own up to, okay,